So the theme of the week, of the moment, is loneliness. And I want to speak to the pattern that I'm seeing and also maybe share some of the personal experience here. But what I see in, well, the people I work with, but also the people I just coexist with, this pattern seems to have been accelerated since January, although before that, there's definitely a spike around the pandemic. Before that, like just over the lifespan that's been lived here, this acceleration of intensity in news consumption, media consumption, technological consumption, screens, information. And we know that this externalization of our neurology, our mind, our thought process, our nervous system, in a certain sense, that the nervous system is communicating electrical signals. These messages are being received and sent and impact how we respond to the world, how we protect ourselves, how we connect, how we function. This externalized world, technology, internet, is kind of supercharged, juiced up version of these inner patterns of being human, of reflecting, thought, impulse, like can label it whatever you want. But the reality is we have a momentary arising always and a sensory experience to it. And one of those senses has a reflective capacity to it, the sense of thought, reflection, imprinting. That's like a mirror. You've probably heard the analogy of thought as a mirror. And so when we have our own embodied mind, there are the reflections that are happening inwardly, the mirror that we can, in a very complex way, reflect on, and then reflect on the reflection, and then reflect on the reflection of the reflection. That mirror has been extrapolated and exponentially complicated. The exponential reflections mean that when we plug in into our technology, the reflection gets hijacked. The whole system gets hijacked. It can. It doesn't have to, but the autopilot response, as with thought, as with this embodied mind, is to get identified with it, to merge with it. And so just as the mind signals alarm bells and we get hypnotized by it, the potency of media and consumption I think we underestimate its power because it hypnotizes us so well. And we forget because we're so easily plugged in and so necessarily plugged in to function. And I say this because what I'm seeing, the pattern that I'm seeing, is incredible loneliness, incredible heaviness and weight, and increasing despair when people read the news, connect socially, connect with email, which used to be a form of communication. And it's not even that the loneliness is the apparent perception of me and my alone self, disconnected and reading stories or consuming content. The perception of what connection means is altered. It's like the impulse to look in the mirror, to look at oneself. But that's getting lost. That's the image that we're looking for is different now. The sense of belonging is different now. The exponential globalization makes for this ever insatiable sense of lostness. That is this enough? Is this world enough? This world that I'm personally living in. When the mirrors fall away, when the reflections of the mirrors fall away, when I'm left with just this body and this environment, is this enough? And you'll probably find when you're on retreat, when you're caring for yourself, when you're unplugged long enough, that the potential triggers, the social parameters have faded a little bit, that it is enough. The community you're looking for isn't 1,000 people, isn't even 30 people, may not even be one person, may be relation with oneself. The shift from self-loathing, that I'm always so inadequate, that I need to get this validation from someone else, because if I'm left with my own invalidation, it's so painful. That's what's waiting for recognition. That's the unconditioned that's waiting. It's the oceanic nature of our wiring when we can have space to remember it. It's not that we need to do anything to make it happen. It's that we need to do a lot less. It's that there needs to be not a looking in the mirror to know one's life, but you're dropping the mirror. Metaphorically, it doesn't mean getting rid of thought, it doesn't mean getting rid of technology, it doesn't mean any doing. It means a clear seeing, a clear hooking into what is unconditional. How is unconditional experience already here, already making space for all of this chaos and all of this beauty. And none of it is rejected, none of it is judged, none of it is denied. or manipulated. It's allowed. Life is allowed. And it is enough. It's the being at war with the sufficiency of what's here. That then creates this comparison, this fear of missing out, fear of making a mistake, fear of being rejected, fear of being uncomfortable, fear of just this. If just this doesn't meet what the mirror, what the memory, what the story, what the ego says, we're not that complex. And it's predictable because we get hijacked. We all do. I don't care how evolved or wise or healed you are, we're all susceptible to all of the conditions of life, including unconsciousness, including harming ourselves, including harming others. When we try to deny that, we try to separate out, we try to get above or below, there's been a loneliness here in kind of a grieving around being in the roles that I'm in vocationally, working with people in this way of counsel and guidance and holding space, supporting. The loneliness of what this really entails when it's consciously met. Which is that often there's projection. Often inherently, it's no one's fault. It's the setup. And I listen to the ways that it can be just deconstructed in the ways that are worked with people, but it's the setup of the mind to project onto these historic roles in certain ways that then there's praise here, which quickly shifts into demonization, blame, depending on which expectations are being met or unmet. I don't want either. Truly. It happens. Because I'm not actually helping people. Support happens through the spaces that are held. There's an aliveness in holding this space. There's skill that's been learned, and through disposition, through training, through working with so many people for so many years, through suffering, through the life that's been led here, None of that is owned. There's no one helping, and I'm not helping anyone. I don't take ownership over that. People are supported in the spaces that I hold, and there's much love here for anyone who connects and works, and for truly for everyone. The love is able to be expressed more clearly when someone is vulnerable and open here. But that love is unconditional. You don't earn it. It's not taken away. And it shows up in different forms. That unconditional love might reflect something that someone doesn't want to hear. That unconsciousness, which wants to remain unconscious, doesn't want to hear. And then there's a pushing away. There's a loneliness in that sensing the natural patterns that come into this work. And the kind of undoing that happens when that loneliness is felt, the expectations, the lingering old conditioning of like wanting to help, believing that I ever could, really that it was me doing any of it, believing that I've failed, like believing that I've let someone down. Like, it doesn't mean that there isn't a clear seeing that I can cause harm. And when that's felt, then there's a natural propensity to repair, to want to find a way to repair. But that doesn't define me just in the same way that supporting someone doesn't define me. This is just happening. And then it becomes enough. Holding space for that loneliness of doing this work. Of course, how else would it be? This is not a two-way interaction. When there's support and there's a supportive space being held, it's different in my relationships. And so really feeling that, it's let go of. It's a relief. And then it's enough. This is enough. It's enough to do this work for now. Maybe that changes. It's not up to me. And realizing with this intensity of the last 6 months, how the community of people that I work with, like how careful I have to be about boundary of what gets in, what technology I plug into, and how conscious. Because the loneliness that feeds off of that is so predictable. Feeling alone, feeling like a me. Not enough, not doing enough, not plugged in enough. And when it's unplugged, when it's plugged in, that just this is enough. then I'm in community. And I am community. Community of the body, community of my husband, community of my neighbor. Community of this space holding me. Community of just this sphere that I belong. I'm at the center and I am at the furthest extreme of belonging to me and beyond me. So if you're feeling that loneliness, like, there can be compassion for that trance. It just pulls you so far away from where it's actually wanting to be. And where the unconditional is actually met and discovered and embraced and embraces you and everything and nothing. And it will be waiting.